if you have 10, 15 pianos and they all have that unnecessary bass, you kind of lose the energy in the drop. The snare should be in this frequency, the piano should be between those two, frequencies. I'll probably go to the loudest part of the track and listen to it in the car, at the gym. You definitely want to try to match the level of other songs. I'm pretty happy with how everything sounds. Usually now I feel like it looks pretty tidy. We have like all the, the lead sounds right next to each other. We have the piano. It might, sometimes if I work on a track for a long time, things might start to be very messy. Like I might have a piano down here and then I have some drums up here. So I like to, put everything like next to each other. So I have all the hi-hats on the tracks next to each other. If it's several kick drums next to each other. So I kind of have everything in order. It just makes everything easier, especially when you're trying to mix and trying to tidy up the mix. It's pretty, convenient to have everything next to each other. But I think we've done a pretty good job so far. So I know that I want to EQ. EQing is like pretty important for, removing frequencies you don't want on certain tracks, and also you can boost certain frequencies on some tracks. It's definitely important to, listen through every, maybe the busiest parts of the song is pretty important, like the drop, where there's a lot of elements going on. And a common mistake is to add too much because you want the energy to be, as high as possible. But sometimes it can actually have the opposite effect. If you add too much, it might just sound like muddy, and you kind of lose that kind of, the spark, like the energy in the drop. So definitely try to, instead of just adding too much, definitely try to, EQ stuff like noise away, and try to make your mix and track sound as clear as possible. For example, this piano that's going in the background. If I go to EQ and I can analyze, I can see where, so it's the frequencies of this piano. And I can also see there's a lot of, bass going on in this piano. Not a lot of bass, but there's definitely some bass going on, or low frequencies. And I don't really want that on this piano, because that's not the intention of this piano. So I might just go ahead and I do this on almost every piano sound that I don't need the lower bass notes. I might just go, because the only part of this piano that I want is this part up here. Oh, I don't need this part. So I go through that. This is basically something I do on every track. On this piano, you can hear that. I definitely want those lower notes, but probably not all the way down to like under maybe 100 hertz. Maybe around like 70, 80. This is just like trying and, figuring it out, like, so how much of the lower end of this piano can I take away without removing the bass that I want? So maybe around like 70. The piano still sounds great. Because the thing is, like, it might not make a huge difference on the tracks by themselves, but if you have, 10, 15 pianos in a song playing on top of each other and they all have that unnecessary, bass noise, it's gonna, fill up the mix. And that's the thing, you want the bass to play the bass, not, you could definitely have like some bass in this piano and stuff, but I definitely try to, keep it at a minimal where I don't really need it. Guitar, same thing. It's definitely some, just for safety as well. I see that there's nothing below here that I can even hear. Can't even hear a difference. But if I go up here, I would hear the difference. So at some place, 80. And I could go ahead if I wanted, you know, to boost some frequencies. I could go ahead and do that with the EQing. I could do like this if I wanted like a little bit more, you know, sharpness or whatever you call it from the guitar. I might actually keep it like that. I don't mind that. So this is stuff that I do on every track that I have. The strings. So there's a lot of, you know, activity down here that I don't need. Because I don't need the bass of those strings. Another piano, definitely gonna do the same thing. I do want some of the bass here, so I don't want to take away too much. This one you can see a lot of bass. I do want some of it. I could even get some more high end. It's not that much of a difference because but I kind of feel like it sounds pretty cool. Guitar again, same. And this piano. This one you can definitely, it's gonna be a pretty big difference. This one is like very important to EQ because you can definitely hear the difference between this and this. So all that, like I don't need any of that noise in the lower end. This sounds way cleaner. Let's see here, this is the guitar on the drop. Same thing. The stuff you can definitely go in way more detail with the EQing. You can like, if you really listen with, you know, proper, you know, speakers, headphones, you can like tweak just like a couple of, maybe like 1 dB or like 0.5 dB here and then down. But I don't really go into that much detail right now. I just wanted to I just want to remove all, you know, unnecessary noise from the production. Here is the arpeggiator. This one is pretty good. It's not really any bass. I'm just gonna do it just in case. Then we get to all the drop pianos, which is definitely important to EQ. And on the drop, I have the bass playing. So I definitely don't want this piano to try to compete with the bass in any kind of way. So I might actually take out, I don't even need the lower bass notes on the piano. And I want this piano to be pretty, you know, crisp, kind of sharp. So I might just try to boost some of the high ends, high frequencies. this one is also easy to hear the noise going on. It's definitely a pretty big difference. So now the piano sounds. I feel like it already sounds a little bit cleaner. Then we have the melody, same thing. Don't need the bass notes of the guitar. This one as well is only the higher frequencies. It's so easy to hear all the noise that disappears when you EQ. Strings. It's kind of like by habit. I just do this on every track, even though it's not really any frequencies going on from the lower end. I just do it anyways, just to be sure. Then we get the bass, and obviously I'm not going to take away the lower end of the bass. What I've done with this one is I've taken away just like you can't really hear it, like the frequencies below like 30 hertz, can't really hear them anyways. So they might, just take up a lot of, space in your mix. And yeah, as I said, you can't even hear them. So this one, I've started cutting off at 40 hertz, but that's also because I don't want it to be like the deepest kind of bass. So this one I've already done this with because this was a track that I've saved. This bass, channel strip is something I've saved from before with the EQing on it. But here's the bass on the drop. You see a lot of stuff. I might do the same thing, just with this one. Actually, I gotta EQ a little bit actually, because I have the sub going under, and I don't want those two to. Since I have two, the bass and the sub, I don't want those two, to interfere with each other. So the sub, I'm actually gonna EQ all the way. The only thing I want from the sub is like below, maybe like 50, 60. I might take away just the bottom there as well. This is like the only frequency I want from the sub, and the bass. I could take away everything lower than around 60. So that means that the bass and the sub can play at the same time without, competing too much for the same, frequency. And that's basically all the, that's the piano, that's the bass, that's the lead melody. And then the kick, I'm not going to EQ the kick that much because I feel like that sounds pretty good as it is. Hi-hats. What I could do if I want the hi-hats to be a little bit, could take away the lower ends if I want to, but I don't feel like I need to. If I want the hi-hats to be like sharper or clearer, you know, I could boost just the top frequency here. I don't feel like I need it, so maybe just a little bit actually. It doesn't sound too bad, just a little bit at the top end. This one I might actually have to do something with. There's some noise coming from the reverb. I think. And this again, like I feel like I need to EQ. Oh wait. If I want it like a little bit. Same with this. I don't think I need to do that. Anything with that one. I usually just go through every track and just put on the EQ and just look at the, you know, waveform. Now I can see there's like some bass going on, you know, in the hi-hats, and I obviously don't want that. So I'm just gonna, even though I couldn't really hear it, could maybe if I turned up the volume all the way, I could have maybe heard it, but that's good that I can actually see that there's stuff going on down there that I don't want. This one's good. Snare, I can just take away some. I do like that snare, how it sounds. There's definitely a lot of, you know, theory going into, you can learn about like EQing, and there's probably a lot of stuff that I don't know about EQing. I just do kind of everything by ear and just seeing, okay, I like the sound of that, I don't like the sound of that, I'm gonna EQ that away. But there's definitely, you know, you can find a lot of, you know, theory on, you know, the snare should be in this frequency, the piano should be laying between those two, you know, frequencies, which is probably, you know, handy to know. I don't really know. I just do, you know, things by ear and seeing what it sounds like. But all these samples from, this is like a lot of, I can take this. The sweeps, I don't think I'm gonna do anything with the sweeps. Could probably. No, that one is good. This one is maybe, I don't want all the bass. I just want the sweep, like the more like the white noise sweep. I don't want the bass, all that stuff. So this one I'm gonna cut off right there. Might have taken away too much from that one. Maybe that's more. What I could do is, like, when I take away, you know, frequencies like this, take away the bass, I could turn it up a little bit, because it might, you know, result in the whole track, you know, the sweep being lower, because I take away, you know, a part of the frequency area it operates in. slap/snap. I think we could actually boost that one just a little bit on the high end, because I feel like it sounds like crisper if you do the EQing like that.
We went to a small bar with neon lights, talked about everything that was on our mind.
So I'm pretty happy with how it sounds right now. For me, what I typically do when I'm at this point of the production, when I have, the whole arrangement, I have the whole production, I've tweaked, I've done the EQing. What I usually do is listen to this track over and over, and probably, do some tweaking here and there. Listen to it in the car, listen to it at the gym or whatever I'm doing, just throughout the day. And then when I can listen to the track, many times without thinking that there's anything that needs to be changed, then at some point I think that, I'm done with the track, and I'm gonna send it off and hopefully release it. So that would be the next, step in the process for me right now. So since I'm not, a mixing engineer, and I, would like to have my song, sound as good as possible, what I usually do, what I always do is that when I'm happy with the track, I've listened to it for weeks, tweaked it, when I'm happy with it, I send it off to a mixing engineer who will then mix and master my track. But from the beginning, when I started out producing, I obviously didn't, have a mix. I didn't know, a mixing engineer or someone who could, do that for me. So then I would have to do it myself, as good as I could. And there's different tools you can use. You can use definitely some EQing you can do on Logic. In Logic, you have actually like mastering tools you can do. Let's say this is a dance type of song. I can just choose this. I don't know if that's the optimal way of doing it, because every song is different. So you can see there's different final mix dance, and that's what this Logic recommends you do with a standard dance song. But what I have been doing, if I want to mix it as good as possible, there's this thing called isotope, ozone, which is basically, right now I have the two tools. I have an equalizer and I have a maximizer, because you obviously want, if you want to compete with, let's say on Spotify or on SoundCloud or whatever, you want to compete with other songs, you don't want your song to be lower in volume than those songs. So you definitely want to try to match, a song. Let's say there's a song you like, then you want to try to, get as close to that level as possible. And the way to do that is like a maximizer or a limiter. So I would do, in this case, I would probably go to the loudest part of the track, which is the last drop. And I can try to tweak it. I can even turn it up over here. But you definitely don't want it to sound, if you go too much, it sounds like, you can hear it sounds way too compressed. So it's about finding a balance of something that's pretty loud, but it doesn't have to be, ozone, it's definitely a very easy way. There's a lot of stuff that I don't even know how to do in you know, Ozone, but there's a lot of, you know, tutorials on how to do that online, and to kind of master your own tracks as good as possible. And that's what I had to do in the beginning, to try to make them sound as loud as possible and as clear as possible, and you know, try to match the level of other songs that I like. So that's definitely a good way to do it. If you, let's say I'm pretty happy with where I put the stuff now, in Ozone, I would bounce this track, and I would probably put it into Logic together with maybe a track that I like, and put them next to each other and kind of play, you know, solo my track, then solo the other track, and see like, oh, is there a big difference between the volume, and does the other track sound way, you know, better in quality? So that's something I probably would do, especially like when you're learning, you're like trying to learn how to like mix and master. Then that's a good way to, you know, use a reference song that you want your track to sound as good, like quality wise. And if you don't have, you know, Ozone or any other, you know, mastering tools, in Logic there's a lot of, you know, you have compressors, you have adaptive limiter. I'll be using a lot of limiter, to just try to like, you can do obviously the EQing, that's already in Logic as well. Tweak it if you want more high ends. If you want not that much bass, you can like tweak, like the boost. It's definitely like, this depends on the song. This different, you know, songs. There's no like standard way of doing this that fits every song. So that you gotta, you know, try to play around with, you know, EQing, play around with a limiter maybe to get it to the level you want. You can hear if I boost it all the way, it's clipping. So you don't want that. So you got to figure out some kind of way, or some kind of level in between here that sounds pretty good, but like sounds pretty loud, but it's not clipping. So let's say I was like pretty happy with this. I've been EQing some stuff. You could use compressors and stuff on the master as well. I don't know if we need it on this one, but if I wanted to, you know, if I was happy with everything now on the master channel, I put an adaptive limiter and a channel EQ. Then I would go ahead and bounce it, which I would press Command B. And obviously you want like the highest quality, but let's say I just wanted to make an MP3 version that I wanted to, you know, either listen to. I would, you know, get definitely the best quality bitrate. I would add this song, and then I would press OK. And I could do it in real time just to make sure that when I bounce it, everything, there's nothing that I forgot maybe to delete. There's a track that's making a noise that's not supposed to be in there. It could be smart to do it in real time, especially when you're like at the end of the process, just to make sure that, just to double check that there's nothing, you know, wrong. Press OK. Love Out Loud 1.1, just call it that. And then you will listen to the whole thing and then double check that everything sounds the way you want it to sound.